Hello everyone, it's Pat at Beads and Plenty More, and today I'm going to talk about making this bracelet. I've used 21 gauge wire, again, both twisted wire and a square wire, and then the bead in the center here is what we call a torpedo bead, and they come in different colors. There's a few different choices there. I've got two different bracelets already made to show you what they look like. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to show you how to do the clasp. So let's get started with making our own bracelet here. So what I used again was the 21 gauge twisted wire and the 21 gauge square. And in this case, I'm using silver and black. I cut 8-inch pieces of the two wires, and I straightened them out a little bit rather than being curved right off the spool. I also needed a little short piece of the twisted wire, and that's about 4 inches. I'll leave a supply list at the end so that you can see all these measurements as well. Now this piece is what goes through the bead in the middle to create the little swirls. Okay, so what we're going to do first, I selected this little bit darker bead to go with my silver and black. I line up all my 4 wires here, and I'm going to lay them next to the bead, establish the center, and if necessary, maybe I should be measuring to get it exact, because it is important. Right there is the 4-point break. Take all 4 wires, and we're going to put them here, and we're going to just bend them slightly all together so that they will go around this bead. And by doing all 4 together, of course, we're going to get a nice match. And then I'm going to take my chain nose pliers once I establish that I've got this curved around the bead. And here's the 1 point. I'm going to give it a bend. And then on this side, that goes there, and this one on this side. So that I've got that nice curve that's going to go around the bead. Now I'll take 2 of these and flip them over so that they go on this side, and 2 on this side. Now I've got them a little bit square looking, so I'm going to take them back here to where I've got them center, and I'll just use my thumb to round that a bit more, and then give those bends, just give that a nice bit more rounding, because we want the curve around this bead. And I think that looks a bit better now. So I'm going to have the twisted wire is going to go on the outside, and the black wire is going to go on the inside. So this one goes over here, as you can see, and this one sitting like that, and this one on the inside, and this one on the outside. So that's kind of our basic layout of the wires. And then I'm going to put this one, the short wire, through the bead here, so it's going to sit right in the middle there. Okay, now I'm going to go to my trusty little clamps here. We're going to set those up on the one side. Try to keep the curves all nice, and clamp this side. Okay, you stay on the outside. I want my fancy wire on the outside, and the plain ones on the inside. So make sure my bead goes, yep. So I'll put another clamp. Let's get these guys in nice and tight here. This shape of bead is called a torpedo bead, so I guess because it's shaped with a... So there we have our little setting for where my bead's going to sit in there. And straighten this out a little bit. And so set that in there. Now to do all the wraps that go on the outside here, I'm going to use black half round wire this time, and I'm going to work right off the spool because that way I can save wire, and I don't really know how much I'm going to need because you do use quite a bit for this. So we're going to set that little short wire in between there, and I'm going to do my first wrap with that one sitting in there. Make sure I've got it. We'll just give this side a bend so it holds it in place while we're working on this side. So if we take the half round wire, putting the flat side in, again, always make the hook. Set the wire off to that side of me, and then I'm going to go through here and do a wrap. Use the chain nose pliers to keep it nice and firm. And my pattern is about 3 wraps, so we'll just do our 3 wraps here. And then I'm going to keep the wire continuous to go all the way down with the pattern. So keeping this side with the clamp on it, I'm going to take this little wire that's slipped out to the side. We'll get it back in the middle there. And it's going to come back and do the decorative piece on the top of the bracelet. But for now, I'm just going to leave it like that, so that I can carry on with these wraps. Like that. And we're just going to put the clamp down here so that it holds these for me. And I'm just going to go skip across an area and do a wrap. Again, always go back in with the chain nose to keep these wraps nice and tight. And my 3 around and squeeze down. So then after I've done the 3, I'm going to skip over a bit and do it. And you want to kind of keep these areas as close to matching as you can. Move this down a little bit. 2 and 3. Bring that up nice and tight. And squeeze down. So I'm going to continue to do all these wraps to the end, and I'll go over to this side and do them on this side, and then I'll come back to you to show you how to do the swirl on the top and the clasp. Okay, so I'm back now with my bracelet. I've done all the wraps on both sides, and I'm going to show you how to do the finishing touches around the bead here. We have the end of the wrap wire that needs to be finished off, and it's going to just get cut so that you have only a half size, a little bit more than that, and then we're going to fold it down so that it's hidden on the inside. And so I have that on both sides here, so we'll do this side as well. Just cut off so that you only have a small bit going across, and just fold it down. There we are, and check that it's not sticking out the other side. Now to finish these fancy wires here, we want to do some nice swirls. So what I do to do that is to grab a hold of the wire with the round nose plier, and we're going to start with a small swirl and just bring it around. A nice swirl like that, just a little bit more. Just to decorate these up, and the other purpose for this, it helps to hold this by using a little bit more wire. Then we have a little bit better hold on this short piece of wire. Otherwise, it could easily come loose. There we are. So just a nice little swirl on that side. So I went that way on that one. So we'll go the other direction on this one. Just a nice big swirl. Tie that center. Maybe I'll use the fingers to make it just a little bit, or these pliers I think will work better. This is to get another little bit of a swirl there, and this one I'm going to make a bit more swirl on it. Sort of a little bit like a rose. A little bit tighter swirl there would be nice. There we are. So now on the ends, I cut off the end on this one to show what it's going to happen, and we tuck in those the center wire down low, and I make a couple of hooks here that I'm going to use to hook into the clasp. So I'm going to go ahead and make the clasp. I've cut the square wire, I've cut 3 inches, and I'm going to just take that wire, bend it in half, and crisscross it so I get a real tiny little circle at the end there. Keep pulling until it gets quite small. There we are. Then I'm going to just hold on to that circle with the pliers. Oh, it's too wide. There we are. And then straighten these guys out. So this isn't as small as I'd like, so I'm going to go in with the tips of these pliers and bring the chain nose pliers over to squeeze that in really tight, because I want a really small end here. This is the piece that's going to hook into the circle. Get those, make sure these guys keep running parallel. Okay, so that's about as small as I can make the circle with the round pliers. Make sure they sit parallel, it's very important. And then I go in with the chain nose and squeeze it in a little bit tighter yet. There we are. So fairly small. Actually, it could even be smaller yet. Okay, there we go. So then to make the rounded part of the clasp, I need to go back to the round nose pliers. I'm going to go in with the largest part of the round nose plier and just roll this around. So now it's starting to look like a clasp. Black wire is bad for chipping off. To be a little bit careful whenever you use black wire. So we're going to cut that back a little bit because we only want to make just a small round, and I need them to be nice and even. Cut those away. Again, always remember to cut on the side so that you get that nice straight edge there. It makes it look so much better. So now these two are going to flare out this direction. And I don't want to close it just yet. Flare this one like that. Then I'm going to go in and this will hook. I want the hook side down. So it's hook side down, and I'm going to hook one side to this side and one side to this side. Which might take a little adjust. No, there we got it. So then these just get closed up after they're hooked into those 2 circles. Well, of course it slips out when I'm not looking. There we are. So I take this and close up the circle. And on this side, we're going to close up this circle. So that's in there nice and tight. That one's not closed yet. This is where your fine nose pliers are really handy. So that's the one side of the clasp. Let's straighten that top part a little bit. There we are. And on the other side, we're going to make a circle that hook will go into. Center the 2-inch piece of wire and bring it down. And once again, take the chain nose and tighten that in to make a nice big circle. Bring that off, and we'll cut that to make them nice and even. Very hard to get them even when you're doing a circle like that. And then these guys are going to flare out the same way as the clasp, and of course the other end of the bracelet will have the same, the silver parts will be the same. So those two will hook into the same way as they did on this side. So then to shape your bracelet, you can either round it on something that is round, something fairly large that would be like your wrist, or you can just work it little by little with your fingers. Get it into a nice round. So I'll finish that up, and this is what the finished bracelet will look like with the clasp and the hooks on there. And that's all there is to it. Hope you enjoy making wire bracelets with torpedo beads. Bye for now.